change, I think, is a mistake. So I think, given that the DACA is a federal problem, immigration is a federal problem, we ought to wait and see what's going to happen at the federal level, where immigration is primarily responsible for, and then we can react to that. And in the meantime, Mr. Chairman, 97% of these kids are already receiving in-state tuition. So I think waiting to let the waters demuddy a little bit is the right thing to do. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we table.
I should have apologized. I really did not give a chance to anybody that's for the bill to speak, and that's my fault. That's fine. I apologize for that. I had to delegate Corey. He hasn't made the motion. I was trying to stop him. That was my fault. If you have anyone here to speak for the bill, this is the opportunity for them to do.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure who is able to be here.
Okay, that's fine. Just want to make sure I give that opportunity. Anyone here to speak for the bill? Anyone here to speak against the bill? I'm sorry. Go ahead and make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Delegate Sutton.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak the bill before the motion's
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this is just good policy, regardless of what happens in Washington. I don't think the state should be waiting in Washington. I think that the message the voters sent is they want states to take more control of our own futures. And these kids have grown up. We pay for their schooling with our property taxes, mostly where I come from, their entire life. They've known nothing but the United States. They've known nothing, in many cases, but Virginia. So for us to say now that they can't have in-state tuition is just bad policy, and it cuts off our nose to spite our face. So for that reason, I hope we support the bill.
The gentleman behind wants to say something quickly. Sir, just identify yourself and which side you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. My name is Kevin Maurer. I'm with the Virginia Catholic Conference. We support the bill. While immigration law enforcement is a federal issue, the awarding of in-state tuition is a state issue. So I think that the state can choose discretion in that regard. We support these kids. They're members of our communities, and they will contribute greatly to the life of the Commonwealth. I think this is an investment in Virginia's economy as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak for or against the bill? Okay, Delegate Massey.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make another quick statement. There's another bill that was in the House, Delegate Lopez, I believe it's 1857, that codifies the DREAM Act and does the same thing as Delegate Corey's bill does. We tabled that bill in House Appropriations this morning. So for all the reasons I stated and be consistent, Mr. Chairman, I move that we table House Bill 2344.
Okay, the motion is to table House Bill 2344, and there's a second. But it's not debatable. All those in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? We have 2 opposed. Okay, Delegate Corey, that motion passes the table, but thank you for coming to your presence.
Thank you, and thank you for hearing my bill. I'll probably be back next year.
Delegate Anderson, I think I'm going to be on YouTube. The only other paper I see right now. Delegate Anderson has 2 bills. HB 1721, HB 1724.
All right, Mr. Chairman. Let me step through the first one, which is House Bill 1724, or 21 rather, which concerns State Board for community colleges of reduced rate tuition and fees for certain students. This was brought to me by the community college system, and what it does is it permits the State Board for community colleges to charge a reduced rate tuition and mandatory fees to any students who meet 3 different criteria. 1, they're an active duty member of the Armed Forces of the United States, first of all. Secondly, they're enrolled in a degree program at a community college, providing that any such comprehensive community college that offers an online degree program is a member of the National Council for State Authorization Reciprocity. And then third, enrolled in training that leads to a military occupational specialty, an MOS, for the Marine Corps or the Army, an Air Force specialty code for the United States Air Force, or a Navy enlisted classification in the case of Navy enlisted personnel. And so that is the bill. I got an email probably an hour ago from representatives that the Community College Board has voted to unanimously support that. And it has no fiscal impact.
Any questions for Delegate Anderson on HB 1721? Self-explanatory. Anyone here speak for Doug Anderson's HB 1721?
Ellen Davenport, Virginia Community College System. Of course, we support Delegate Anderson in this bill. This actually originated with Northern Virginia Community College and an interest in helping Marines who are based at Quantico get more training, and it's been expanded to all branches of the armed services and the training that they would be getting in the armed services, as well as translating those to community college credits. And I'd love to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions? Delegate Massey.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to also know that this bill was heard in the Education Committee, it was heard in my higher ed sub of education, and it was heard in the full education on the policy, and it was reported unanimously from both my higher ed sub and the Education Committee on the policy. It is up here about the money.
Great. Anyone else here to speak for the bill? Anyone here to speak against the bill? All right, Chair, will entertain a motion. Motion to report, is there a second? Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those nay. That motion carries, and that bill is reported. Delegate Anderson, 1724.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1724 on concerns in-state tuition rates for members of the Virginia National Guard. The bottom line is it does provide a state benefit for service in the Virginia National Guard. Our Guard here in Virginia is, frankly speaking, behind in providing educational benefits for their folks, for their state service, and I emphasize the state service. Other states offer their guardsmen educational benefits that go much further beyond. For example, Kentucky pays 100% of their Guard tuition. Our current code language provides in-state tuition benefits only to those members of the Guard who are on active duty orders for 6 months or more, and that's a key thing about this legislation. And so the proposed changes will provide in-state tuition to all Guard members who reside within the Commonwealth regardless of domicile. And the proposed change will provide equity in tuition for members of the Guard. And so that's what I bring to you today, Mr. Chairman. And I think that you have someone in a position of authority to speak on behalf of this bill.
All right, anyone here to speak for the bill? Chairman Williams, welcome, sir.
First, good to see you. Obviously, I'm in support of this. As Delegate Anderson pointed out, this is recognizing state service for those folks that are residents of other states that serve in the forces of the Commonwealth of Virginia. These men and women raise their right hand and swear to support and defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth. And I think it's a very appropriate thing that we grant them the ability to have in-state tuition to recognize that service to our state.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yes, Delegate Massey.
General Williams, as you stated in my higher ed subcommittee of education, the real change here is you move into Virginia and serving in the Virginia National Guard. If you were here a year, you're going to qualify for in-state tuition. All this does is say, well, instead of waiting 365 days to qualify, you qualify on day one. And that is the change as I remember. Is that correct?
That's pretty correct, sir.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else here to testify for the bill? Please step forward. Just identify yourself.
Lieutenant Colonel Russ Wood, defendant, judge advocate for the Virginia National Guard, the attorney for the Guard. I just want to make a few brief comments. The vast majority of our guardsmen obviously are Virginia residents. We have some who are who come in from out of state. They get state tuition assistance. We have special ranger contracts through that program that can provide them in-state tuition. So this is really just covering a relatively small number of guardsmen. So the fiscal impact is limited by that. In addition, I mean, this is a benefit that's already provided to the active component. An active military member who moves into Virginia on a post does not have to wait a year in order to get in-state tuition rates. And veterans, the same way. Veterans from the armed forces that move into Virginia, again, so they have that same benefit. And on top of that, the dependents of active duty members who've moved into Virginia, they get immediate in-state tuition. So we're really just looking for some equity in giving guardsmen who support the Commonwealth that same benefit that we're already providing all the active duty members, veterans, and dependents of active duty members.
If people don't come forward, sir, if you don't mind, if the only thing you don't repeat what maybe some other people said. So, welcome. Tell us who you are. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm David Sittler. I'm with the Joint Leadership Council of Veteran Services Organization. And I just want to take a moment to say that the JLS does support this bill. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Curtis Brown, Governor's Office of Public Safety and Homeland Security. Administration fully supports this legislation. Guard is essential to our safety and security efforts. Last year, they responded to numerous emergencies, hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, etc., putting their lives on the line. So this would be a great benefit and the right thing to do. Thank you.
All right, anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill? All right, before we make that motion, Tony, I think the key question obviously is something for this committee. Could you maybe, because obviously the key is going to be the fiscal impact statement, so can you tell us, I mean, obviously, with some of the constraints we have, as far as our budget goes, what would this cost to implement this policy?
If, Mr. Chairman, if the bill were limited to just VMI, it would cost at least $900,000. What's not addressed, though, what's not covered by this is you have the Virginia Tech Corps, that's about 1,100 students, all in and out of state, and whether at some point they would qualify. You have the various ROTC programs where you have students who are enrolled there. Again, would they qualify? So it's difficult to gather. It's at least $900,000. At least $900,000, or about $1 million on its face, probably higher.
Colonel Williams?
Yes, sir. I have to underscore that the majority of the schools are already in a special arrangement contract. So they have determined that there's a way to do this for those schools. VMI is definitely has a unique situation from their perspective. And I think that's been recognized by the administration in attempting to budget for that. When we look at the numbers associated with the Institute, there's 15 cadets that fall into this category. If you take that at its face, or surface value, that's a cost of about $314,000 a year. Those numbers may fluctuate a little bit, but based upon our readiness requirements that we're now working under, we see the number of students at VMI falling around that 15 to 20 mark and staying fairly consistent at that over time.
Okay, any further questions for Delegate Anderson? All right, committee operates by motions.
May I speak to the bill and then make a motion?
Sure can.
Mr. Chairman, nobody is more focused on keeping Virginia the most veteran-friendly and military-friendly state in the country than the chairman is. So he's made great strides. We are incredibly sympathetic, General Williams, to this. It came out of my higher ed subcommittee unanimously. It came out of the education committee unanimously. We are incredibly dedicated to the welfare of our active military, our National Guard, and our veterans. We did do in higher ed this morning, in education this morning, the Virginia Military Delegatorians Bill, where we are granting military survivor benefits to family members of those members who have become 90% disabled due to their service in the military. So we are making strides. I will say, Mr. Chairman, we've already cut higher ed as one a big brunt, 5% across the board. I think while we would love to do this, we're not like the federal government. We don't borrow $65 million an hour to pay our current bills, and we don't print $3 trillion in the last few years. So, Mr. Chairman, I would reluctantly, I think this is something we really would like to do, but in this incredibly slow growth national economy, incredibly slow growth Virginia economy, we just don't have the money next year. So, Mr. Chairman, I reluctantly move to lay House Bill 1724 on the table.
Okay, there's a motion to lay the bill on the table. Is there a second? Okay, there's a second. Okay, that's not debatable. All those in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'll have to say no, I don't want to have to do 50 push-ups for the general.
Okay, reluctantly, the bill is tabled. Okay, I think we have Hugo here. Okay, Alden. Okay, Delegate Aldo here.
Committee.
One of the subcommittee VIEs for a second, and we'll see if we can get somebody up here. Subcommittee VIEs for a second.